You're listening to the Multiverse Fancast, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
All right then, on with the show.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Multiverse Fancast. Don't forget, if you guys are listening to us on the go, you can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, basically anywhere you get your podcast. You can also find more of our content on our website, themisfitfaction.com. There you find links not only this show, but some of our other shows, like Cinematic Adventures and MF Uncensored. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Paul. With me via the Zoom studio is Ronnie. Ronnie, how are you today?
I am doing swell, sir. How are you?
I was good, and then I realized I wasn't breathing during the intro. Oh my god, what am I doing with my life?
You know what they say, breathing can be overrated.
Everybody does it.
Yeah, that's why it's overrated.
That's why it's overrated, because everybody does it.
Yeah.
All right, so we are back after quite the hiatus because, well, it's all Ronnie's fault. We'll just leave it at that.
It is. No, it is.
It's a mutual thing. It is a mutual thing. For those of you guys who don't know, I've been exceptionally busy with work. Like, I threw in an extra 15 hours of overtime this weekend alone. Ronnie just finished work, a half an hour ago?
Yeah.
Ronnie's text message to me was, "Can I eat first? Please, sir, can I have some dinner?" That was pretty much it. But we are back.
Yeah.
We do have a couple of shows planned. We right now, spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about Loki season 2. We also have an episode on Gen V that we want to get done, and hopefully at some point go see the Marvels. I know I was going to see it today, but I didn't. Yeah. Luckily, there's other things for us to talk about in the interim.
Yes.
But we are excited because Loki is one of those shows that we really... I know I really enjoyed. It was up and down for me, though. It was really up and down for me in terms of excitement. But I'm curious to see what Ronnie has to say. Because, unfortunately, also, fun fact, Ronnie and I don't see each other very much either anymore.
No, we don't.
Ships in the wind, man. Ships in the wind. But
yeah.
It kind of sucks. I miss you. I miss you so much.
I know. I love you. I mean, I miss you. Both?
And I need you. Yeah. There it is. All right. Anyway, so before we get started, there is some news. Since our last recording, both the SAG-AFTRA strikes and the Writers Guild strike have officially ended. At time of recording, I think the writer strike's been over for a while, and now the actor strike just ended maybe, a week or two ago at time of recording? Yeah. Something like that. So we are very much looking forward to some new content, new things. It's going to be a dry spell for quite some time, though.
Oh, yeah. I say nothing good, I would say, or even anything at all, or probably not until close to summertime.
Yeah.
And just spring.
I know Deadpool is going to be the only quote-unquote MCU movie coming out at all next year, which is huge for the MCU. And speaking of which, Captain Marvel, or the Marvels, excuse me, at time of recording has had a 78% drop in audience attendance, which is...
not good.
Audience attendance is one thing. Like, for the most part, people go see it the first week. Like,
yeah,
that's pretty normal. Because I won't bash it. You know, Batman vs Superman had a similar drop, and I was the first one to defend it. Like, it's not because it's the bad movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ronnie and I have not seen it yet. I've heard a lot of mixed things. The audience score is actually pretty good. It's the critic score which makes me sad. I really hope it's a good time. I'm going to hopefully see it this week. We have Thanksgiving week is coming up, and I have a little bit of time off, but we'll see on that one. I'm going to try and drag Ronnie. I'm going to just, probably knock him out or something and just drag him, put him in my trunk.
Oh, please do it.
It's been a while since we played that game. But anyway, so we are looking forward to some new and exciting content. Obviously, when Deadpool gets closer, we'll do some stuff for Deadpool. But for the most part, you're going to be seeing a lot of retro reviews over the next couple of months.
Yeah.
Womp, womp, womp.
We semi-apologize in advance, but not really, because...
it's not our fault.
Yeah, it's not our fault, and it's new material. Maybe we get you kind of hooked on something you are kind of debating on watching.
Okay, that's true. I'll give you that one. And then maybe we'll find some fun guests to talk about some of those things we are not too familiar with, like when Sean came on for the Smallville episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun fact, Cinematic Adventures, highest numbers of our entire network now. That's wild. What a weird time we're living in.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Congratulations to those hosts, whoever they are,
one of them is really handsome, but anyway, and the other's Paul.
and the others, well.
Damn it. Anywho, so let's talk Loki season 2. Now, there will be full spoilers. It's the show ended about 2 weeks ago at time of recording. We try and for things like that, we try and give them a little bit of time to breathe because obviously, people haven't seen it right away. Like I was guilty of not watching it at day of airing.
Yeah. I think I kind of crunched the last. What I thought, I for some reason was thinking there was 8 episodes, and so I finished watching to watch Gen V. I finished 3 episodes, and then I kind of crunched in my head because I'm like, all right, I got 4 or 5 episodes left by the time we record this. So I was watching it, and all of a sudden it was like season's over. I was like, wait, it's only episode 6. I was like, I thought there was 8.
Well, so the first season also had 6 episodes, and I gotta say, I was like, when the first episode started, I was like, what was going on in this? And then I realized the previous, the last season ended in 2021, and it's been 2 years since.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's right. It's been a minute. And unfortunately, this was another one of those shows where we thought was going to have so much more impact on the multiverse as a whole, and not really.
No, I would say almost not at all. It didn't give us. They gave us one, I guess you could say, new thing, but we don't know. At least I don't fully get and understand the concept of the ending with Loki taking over
as the God of Stories.
Yeah,
I'll explain it for you, buddy. Don't worry, we'll get
there. Like controlling, it's almost like controlling the timeline. It seems like
so. We'll get to the ending because obviously it's been a point of discussion for people, especially fans of Loki. Because I remember when we talked about season 1. You and I were not the biggest Loki fans, if memory serves correct. No. We thought that the first season kind of undid his progress when it came time for Avengers Infinity War, where he does die. Yeah. And I still stand by that because no matter what, they still took an Avengers level time era Loki, and they put him in this brand new world, and they basically just showed him highlights, and he got to where he was. They did much better this season with kind of justifying how Loki is now. And all things we'll get to. But for me, the first season ended with the death of He Who Remains. And you see the timeline start branching. Now, there's always been a lot of confusion. Obviously, when variant timelines happen, you have to kill the variants and then prune the timeline. And so there's one main timeline, but then Spider-Man No Way Home comes around and it's like, oh no, all these things always existed. So unfortunately, they have not done a good job at connecting. This was the show that established that the multiverse was happening excessively. We watched all those branches. And I remember at the time, people made all these compilation videos of this. And I want to say it was WandaVision, and I think there was one more thing that they kind of put together. Maybe it was Doctor Strange, but they put it together, and the timing of it all really happens at the same time, where the multiverse branches and Wanda hears the voices of her kids, and other things are happening all kind of concurrently. So they have not established what this multiverse really is and what the rules of it are, which, Doctor Strange says it in Spider-Man No Way Home. He's the multiverse is something we know very dangerously not enough about. So I'm fine with that, but we need to start getting answers, unfortunately. Now, also, at time of recording, there is a very, very large rumor that they are trying to back away from Jonathan Majors and the Kang storyline. Nothing has been confirmed as of now from Marvel itself, but the rumor is with Jonathan Majors, his increasingly high level of criminal issues and legal issues, that they're trying to step away, and they want Doctor Doom to take over as the next big threat, which, okay, Doctor Doom is an Avengers level threat. He always has been. Yes. But if you're going to do a multiverse story where it builds up to Secret Wars and all that, is Doctor Doom going to be the guy?
And not to mention, yes, he's Avenger-worthy villain, but he's not. To me, he's not to the extent that like Kang is. Where it's like Kang can be the one like controlling Doctor Doom, right? There's always like someone bigger, and Doctor Doom's like not necessarily like meaning it in a negative way, but like a B level. Like there's that level above him that this evil villain, whatever, can control Doctor Doom and everything. So like to me, that's where it's like he can't be the big bad that leads up to like a Thanos type of thing.
A multiversal war.
Yeah.
Like if they do Doctor Doom right and they pick the right casting, because they've messed up Doctor Doom twice now. Like I liked, what was his name, Julian Rich, I forget his last name, but the guy from Nip Tuck, he played Doctor Doom twice, and I had no problem with him per se. Those movies were just not well written, but then they ruined him in Fanforstic. Oh my god!
Yeah,
and that was after they did rewrites too. Like originally they were gonna have him as just like some computer blogger terrorist guy, and then they were like, no, the fans don't like that. Whoops. But also, fun fact, we have some other casting news that I totally forgot to mention. Number one, Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of that move. I can't tell you who I would rather have, but like when I think of Reed Richards, Pedro Pascal does not come to mind.
Unfortunately, Pedro Pascal's got this dad vibe, which I like. Okay, I get it's fine, but like, how many times is he going to play the reluctant father figure at this point? Like, he's doing it on The Mandalorian. They're saying at this point in The Mandalorian for the next season, he won't even be there in person. He's just going to do the voice.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, he did The Last of Us, too.
Like, Krasinski, obviously, we can't have him, but, like, someone that kind of has that humor, that quirkiness, and that look is what we need as Reed Richards.
See, I don't need the humor per se for Reed Richards. Johnny Storm and Ben Grimm are more the comedic relief. And that was one of the strongest aspects of the original Fantastic Four movies was the two of them. And Reed Richards should be like the straight-laced, like really serious type character. Yes. And then I think
he's almost like the kind of Captain America-ish.
In that group, yes, the very straight-laced, like, hey,
where,
like
he'll make like these little quips or whatever. And like to me, like that's where like Krasinski's like perfect.
Mm-hmm. He would have been.
He can, because he can dial it back, which we got as fan service.
Total fan service in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, which it sucks because it's like we actually want him. So like the fact that you kill him.
Well, that was like Professor X too, like having that, but. And then we have Vanessa Kirby, supposedly as Sue Storm, which I'm fine with. I think she has the look, and I think, again, Sue Storm, you can write her however you want.
Yeah.
A little bit more, like, she can be more comedic, but also she's supposed to be, like, the bridge between, like, Reed Richards and Johnny Storm. Like, she's got a little bit of comedy to her, but she's also got the serious scientific mind to her, which is hilarious, because you watch Fanforstic, and they had like, the best cast. Yeah. And then they just couldn't stick the landing.
Drop the ball.
Oh god. Yeah. But also, mild spoiler, potential spoiler, Stephen Young from The Walking Dead, he was cast in Thunderbolts and as a mystery role. Nobody knew who he was. So supposedly, and spoiler alert, skip 30 seconds if you don't want to hear, supposedly he's playing the Sentry in the new movie. And for those of you guys who don't know, that's basically the equivalent of Marvel's Superman.
Yeah. Interesting choice.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Marvel's got a lot of things going on right now. But again, Deadpool is the only thing that's entered production again. Like, nothing else is moving, per se. And again, they're reevaluating everything they want to do with Kang and all that. So let's get back to actual Loki before we get too far. So the season starts off with Loki uncontrollably warping across time. We saw that at the end of season 1 where he randomly reappears at the TVA and they're like, who are you?
Yeah.
What did you think of Loki's time skipping?
I think at first it was confusing and it was like, why? What's the point of this? Like you knew there was some reason as to why. It's just you had to wait 5 episodes, 5.5 episodes before you kind of knew the reasoning behind it. So it was like semi confusing at first, but it ended up paying off. I didn't like it, but now looking back after watching the whole season, I'm like, okay, I like it because it now makes sense. But I just don't like the fact that it took them, like I said, 5 episodes to explain exactly what was happening.
Mm-hmm. I did like the visual of it, though. It looked so
Yes.
uncomfortable. They did really good with the visuals on it, or did really well. And can we just talk about Tom Hiddleston's iconic hair flap at this point, where every time he pops up, he has to whip his hair back. That wig looks so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so basically, Loki eventually reunites with the modern Mobius. Now, did you know that Mobius had 3 different variations?
Yeah. So we had 2 TVA Mobius.
No. I'm talking in the comics.
I
So
thought you were talking about in the shop.
in the comics, Mobius, also known as Mobius, commonly known as
Yeah.
Mobius M. Mobius, he's portrayed by different characters, and he's a clone of a character named Mark Grunwald, and various versions of Mobius from different points in time make up the bureaucratic leadership of the Time Variance Authority in the actual comic book. And guess who some of the characters who have been known as Mobius are? You ready? You
Mhm.
have Mr. Terrasect, Mr. Ouroboros, played, and we get Obi in this season, who is supposedly a different version of Mobius, and Mr.
Yeah.
Paradox, who will be played by Matthew McFadden in Deadpool 3.
Interesting.
So,
So we're gonna finally get some tie-in, I guess, with Loki and the MCU movies.
So there's a lot of talk about that, and we'll talk about that when we get to the end of Loki's story about where it's going to go. But yeah, so let's talk about some of the new characters this season, because most of them come back. We got a lot of the same.
Data.
Who are you talking about?
Data.
Oh, Data. I was like, what? Yes, let's start with Obi, played by Ki Hui Kwan, who plays Ouroboros or Obi, and he's just a delight.
Oh God. Yeah, it's like
I would protect him with my life.
100%. Like, to me, he's that lovable nerd. Like,
Oh my
almost
God,
like
1,000%.
like Ned.
He's the guy in the chair.
Like, you know what I mean? Like he almost, like, when he's on the screen, he almost steals it like Ned did
Mm-hmm.
in wow, I'm drawing a blank. What was the first movie? Spider-Man movie.
Spider-Man Homecoming.
Homecoming. Thank you. They're all home something. I get confused with
Homecoming,
them.
Far From Home, No Way Home.
Yeah. So I like how Ned stole the show in that movie. I feel like Obi did in this one.
Oh, completely. And also, I will say, Jonathan Majors plays a new variant called Victor Timely, and he does I hate that he does such a great job.
He is the perfect casting for Kang.
Yeah,
He Who Remains, because of how well he can do anything. Like, he's so broad with the way he can talk and the way his mannerisms can change. Because we've seen, if I remember correctly, like, we've seen him acting or whatever, like 5 different Kang type of characters.
He's been Kang the Conqueror, He Who Remains, and now Victor Timely. We did see him like play other versions, but so briefly you can't really add context. Like I really hope all this legal stuff is not true. Like I really hope he didn't do some of the things that they're saying he did. But like, in all honesty, it sucks, because it's one of those times where like you have to differentiate between the acting. Like, he may be a terrible person in real life, but on screen his acting is incredible, and I don't want to take that away from him, especially if all this stuff isn't true. But if it is, like, we need to get rid of him. I'm sorry. But
yes.
So basically, this story rotates about Loki's now time slipping, and he knows that all these Kangs, all these variants of He Who Remains, are coming, and they're trying to track down Renslayer and Miss Minutes. Now, the two of them are the ones that create Victor Timely, basically, by going back in time and giving him the same manual that Obi created. So it creates the whole like the grandfather paradox, like if you know who created what and all that. So
chicken or the egg.
The story, the chicken or the egg, very good. The story is very simple. Again, this is only 6 episodes, and I think this show benefits from being only 6 episodes.
It does, but like I said, for some reason I was thinking 8, but I think 6 was perfect.
Yeah, I totally agree. And again, it gave them a chance. They told their story and they did it very concisely. And I think that the show benefited for it, especially between Loki and Mobius. The two of them have such great chemistry.
Oh, yeah.
So I really do enjoy, they put them right back together because that's what I was afraid of. I thought they were going to do like a whole, who are you for like an episode or two? But instead, I did call, again, spoilers for Loki. I called immediately when he goes to the future and he runs into Sylvie and then he gets pruned. I was like, that's going to be him. He's going to prune himself. Yeah. Like they went to such lengths to not show it. Oh yeah. It's a fun little paradox, but
and also he's not dying.
No. And I really enjoyed the character of Loki, but I did not like Sylvie per se.
No, Sylvie in the first season
stole the show.
Was okay. She was to me, like her character was okay, but like she stole the show as far as like the acting and the comedy and stuff like that. But in this one, every time she was on screen, I was like, can I fast forward?
And also, I'm gonna say it. She just didn't. And I'm not gonna objectify any person. Like I'll never judge somebody based on how they look. Or she looks so different. I hated her haircut. Yeah,
there was like something about her. Like at first, when I first saw her, I was like, "Is this the same actress? This can't be the same actress. It has to be a different actress." Like I was just hung up on that for a while, and then I was like, "Oh wait, no, it is the same actress."
Yeah, it was very jarring at some point, but for me, like even like producer Melanie, we're watching it and they do the episode where they go back to the moment right before she kills He Who Remains, and we're both like, she looks so much better there. Like, you gotta shape your head, Yeah. But so the story also revolves around them trying to fix the temporal loom. That's the big issue. And there's not so much a villain in this season. Like obviously Renslayer and Miss Minutes are bad guys, but really the villain is they wanted to allow all these timelines to be created, but the temporal loom is being overloaded. Yeah. And I thought it was kind of ballsy where they're like, hey, we fixed it. And then 4 seconds later, shit, we didn't fix it. Yeah. Because you can't account for infinity. Yes. Which was, I thought was such a great way for them to explain what was going on, in all honesty. And for me, like, it worked. And when Loki finally realizes what he has to do at the end, it's his glorious purpose.
Yeah. I feel like with the first season, a lot of things were left unknown. Right? Like it needed more explanation. While in this season, they explained everything. Not to the point where it got boring or overdone, but like you said, at the the last episode or so, where they like explaining this is what's happening, this is how it's going to be fixed, and then the whole thing with Loki replaying it over and over and over again, and like being like, how long is it going to take me to figure out how to be as smart as you or whatever? And they're like, centuries. And it's like, all right, well, I guess we got to do this for centuries then.
Yeah, it makes you wonder like how many times, and even better when he finally has that conversation with He Remains, and he's like, this isn't the first time we've had this conversation. Then Loki does the whole, what makes you think this is the first time we've had this conversation? It's such a great moment. So there's a lot of, let's talk about Loki's story at the end. By the end of the story, he realizes that he wants his friends and he doesn't want to be alone. And that's his biggest fear. Not saving the multiverse. He doesn't want to save the multiverse per se. He just doesn't want to be alone. So he's the one that goes out into the temporal zone after the temporal loom is destroyed. And basically he does the opposite of what He Who Remains does, where He Who Remains tries to constrict everything to one timeline so that way his variants can't come and start a war again. Loki decides, I'm going to instead sit in he sits in the same throne. That's the throne of He Who Remains. And he uses his magic and time slipping to give life to the multiverse, basically. He's in the comics, he becomes he goes from the God of Mischief to the God of Stories, I want to say. And basically he takes a similar role. I did like how like the at one point the multiverse strands became like his cape. I thought that was a really cool visual. Now he's just destined to watch.
Yeah.
And he saved everyone, and it's you get the moment with like Mobius where he's like looking out at his own life and he's like, I don't know what to do next.
Yeah. The one thing that I was confused about at first too was the change of the horns. Notice his horns were different.
Yeah, but that's always been a thing with him because like Tom Hiddleston went on record a few times, like the first Thor movie, he was like, those things were so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Same with Idris Elba. He constantly said how uncomfortable his costume was, and then eventually like their costumes changed so that they're not even wearing them. But Tom Hiddleston, he wore the horns in Thor Ragnarok, but then obviously he dies in Infinity War. I actually really dug his costume in this when he changes into it.
Yeah.
But what do you think about Loki's ending?
I think it was perfect.
And I love the tree.
Yeah. I mean, the way we first see him 10 years ago or more, whatever it's been, where he's just, you hated him, and then he kind of grew on you, you started liking him more and more, and by season 1 you were like, I'm a fan of Loki. He's quote unquote the villain, but I'm a fan of him. And then with this one you're like, I wish I was Loki.
Yeah, I'm very curious. Unfortunately, now also people are like running wild with theories. Like the weirdest theory is like, oh, they're all going to be new Infinity Stones with Loki being the Time Stone because it's green. Loki's always Loki's
always been green.
It's always been green. Like they want to say that like Marvel had an even grander plan with all this stuff. They didn't. Like I'll be the first. If they want to turn around and then readjust their lore, sure. But they did not plan out Loki becoming quote unquote the new Time Stone in the MCU. I would love to see Loki again. I hope that we get to see him almost as like an Oliver Queen Spectre type character. Yeah. Where when the multiverse is in excessive danger, he steps in. I could see him in Deadpool 3. I think that would be a really fun type story. I know, without spoiling anything from the Marvels, the Marvels does address some other Marvel characters. So I'll leave it at that because unfortunately the post-credit or the mid-credit scene was spoiled for me. There is no post-credit scene for the Marvels, but the mid-credit scene was spoiled because it couldn't be hushed. But I really hope that we get a chance to see Loki again, and even if it's in like not till Avengers Secret Wars. As of now though, Tom Hiddleston's like, hey, I told my story. 14 years I told my story. Yeah, we're good. Like if this is the last we've seen of Loki, then I'm okay. Like they did justice to the character, and they did a good job. We also got, I forgot to totally mention, confirmations this week that Thor 5 is happening, but Taika Waititi is not slated to direct. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it also.
Depending on who they get instead.
Yeah, like I like. It's such a shame. Like we've talked about it. I again, it's also a shame that we have not gotten Thor in any capacity of this. We did get a new trailer for the next season of What If, though. Have you seen that?
Really?
Oh yeah,
I have not seen that.
They're doing a 9-episode release where basically they're releasing 1 episode a day, which is strange for them. So yeah, make sure you check that out. It looks interesting, but we have not gotten the moment of Thor and this Loki, and I really wish we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway.
Or at least some sort of nod.
Something, yes. Yeah. But unfortunately, we just didn't get it, and I don't think we ever will. If Tom Hiddleston wants to retire the character, I think at this point we're good. Like, you did it, man. If he wants to cameo though every once in a while, cool. Make you money.
We don't need a Loki season 3.
We don't. Would I say no to it? No. But am I okay if they don't? Like, they have so many other shows. Like the Echo just released its first trailer, which it's the first MCU show to be TVMA. And there are shots of Kingpin in it, and a new shot of Daredevil, I believe, and he's wearing like the full black suit instead. Thank God that I liked the red and yellow suit, but I'm good. Let's not. Let's not make it a permanent thing.
One and done.
One and done. One and done, indeed. But let's Star City rating for season 2 of Loki.
All right, you want me to go first with this one?
Go first with it.
All right, I'm going to give this a 4.
Okay.
4 out of 5. I can't remember what I gave the first season. I feel like it was probably like around the 3.5, maybe. I could be lying, and I could have gave it a 4 as well. Who knows?
Who knows?
I give this a 4. You know, it's definitely better than season 1 with the explanations and everything like that, and then just the whole arc of Loki's character, even just from season 1 to season 2, not even including like the MCU movie stuff, was so big. And like you said, the ending was just so well deserved for him going out, quote unquote, the way he went out. You know, he's obviously still alive. Again, the only downfall from season 1 to season 2 really was Sylvie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was the only place where it kind of dropped the ball. Other than that, they kind of learned from their mistakes in season 1 and they just made it better.
I agree. I'm going to give it a 4 also for most of the points that you mentioned. Sylvie was unfortunately a weak spot this season, which is weird because she was like such a strong character in season 1. Like the line of Mobius like hugging Loki but looking at Sylvie like, you're still my favorite. Like,
yeah,
it just didn't appear. I just did not have, like, I get what she was doing and I get why, but
yeah,
she was the only thing that fell flat. Otherwise, like the new characters and also the recurring characters like Hunter B-15. We also had one of the most gruesome deaths in the entire MCU where all those guys got crushed. Like,
yeah,
yikes. There's some moments in this show. But Anyway, with that, we do have our fan feedback Friday, and it was which MCU characters had the best character arc so far? Overwhelmingly, it was Loki. We did have we had Tony Stark, we had Steve Rogers or Clint Barton. That was fun. We had the Mandarin, but the Trevor Slattery version. That's Sean from Cinematic Adventures. Send the hate mail there. And then our friend Greg from Hey Pal, What's New wrote either gotta be Loki or Cap is what he's thinking. So really good stuff. And, you know, obviously the fans are speaking to a little bit for this because that's who they said also. But if you guys want to participate in Fan Feedback Friday, it's super easy. Just go to our Facebook page every Friday between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We try and get Fan Feedback Friday out, so make sure you guys participate in it. It gives us a chance to interact with you guys, our listeners, and it's also always a good time. We also have more of our content on all of our social media. We have Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of it. Just type in the Misfit Faction or the Multiverse Fancast. Odds are you'll find some of our stuff. But that is, I think, going to wrap us up for today. That was a good episode. It was a good time.
Was good job.
Thank you, man. You know what? I live for these moments where you tell me I did a good job. I appreciate you.
Who doesn't?
I appreciate you. But that is going to wrap us up. As always, I'm Paul.
I'm Ronnie.
And we'll see you guys in a flash.
See ya.